My name's Bob Bramble. I'm 63, I'm a retired teacher. I've taught for 40 years before I retired last year, which has given me lots of time to spend with my darling little princess granddaughter. And I've chosen this book today because I've read this to my sons when they were young, and now I've got the pleasure of reading it to her. So I hope you enjoy the story. It's called The Girl Who Was Left Behind by Enid Blyton. Tomorrow we're going for a day by the sea, sang the children in Miss Williams's class. Well, mind none of you are late for the motor coach, said Miss Williams, gathering up her books. The coach will be at the town hall at 10 o'clock. It will wait for 10 minutes only, then it will start. So you must all be very punctual. We'll be there before the bus, said Millie. We'll be there 10 minutes early, cried John. I'll have to do my mother's shopping first, but I can get there by 10 o'clock, said Alice. They all went home, happy because they were going to have a fine day's holiday by the sea tomorrow. Paddling, bathing, digging. What fun they would have. All the children were up early the next day. It was Saturday. Most of them had little jobs to do. They had to make their own beds. They had to tidy up their toys. They had to feed chickens or perhaps help with the shopping. I'm off to do mother's shopping now, said Alice, peeping over the fence at Millie, who was sitting reading in her garden. Wait for me, won't you? I'll be back as soon as I can. Then we'll run together to the town hall and get into the big motor coach. I'll wait for you, promised Millie, but don't be late, for goodness sake. Alice set off. There was a lot of shopping to do and the shops were full. She stood for a long time at the grocer's, but at last she was served. Then off she went to the baker's and to the greengrocer's. She looked at the clock. 9:30. She must hurry home now because she had to put on a clean frock. She would just be in nice time. She hurried home. She gave her mother the shopping and counted out the change. She was a good, sensible little girl, and her mother trusted her with a lot of things. Then she went upstairs to put on her clean frock. But oh dear, it had a button off. Never mind, there was time to sew it on. Alice got out her needle and cotton. Soon she heard Millie coming in from next door and calling up the stairs. Do come, Alice, it's 5 to 10. Do come, I shan't wait for you. Coming, coming, cried Alice, and she slipped her frock over her head. She buttoned it quickly, fetched her hat and coat and ran downstairs. She kissed her mother goodbye and ran out with Millie. It's 10 o'clock already, said Millie. The coach will be there. We shan't get the best seats. They ran down the street. Just as they got to the corner, a boy came round on a bicycle. A dog ran across the road in the front wheel of his bicycle, ran into him. The dog yelped. The boy fell off his bicycle with a crash, and the bicycle fell on top of him. He hit his head on the curb and lay still, stunned for a moment. The girl stopped in alarm. Alice ran to the boy. He opened his eyes and sat up, rubbing his head, which was bruised and bleeding. I feel funny, he said. I've hurt my head. Oh, look at my poor bicycle. I can't ride it home. The front wheel is bent, and all the things are spilt out of my basket. Could you pick them up for me, please? He was a boy about Alice's age, but she did not know him. She began to pick up the spilt things. Millie wouldn't help. Alice, we can't stop. Let someone else help him. We've got to catch the coach. You help me then and we'll be able to, said Alice. You pick up the things and I'll help the boy up. Go on, Millie. What, and lose the coach that is going to take us to the sea, cried Millie. It's 10:05 already. I'm going. Are you coming or not, Alice? Oh, yes, just wait a minute. I can't leave this boy till he can stand up properly and wheel his bike, said Alice anxiously. There's no one else to help him. You go on, Millie, and just tell Miss Williams I'll be along in a minute. Don't let the coach go without me. Millie ran off, looking cross. How silly of Alice to mess about like that. Let the boy help himself. He wasn't badly hurt. He could easily pick up his own things. Well, even if Alice was going to miss the coach, Millie wasn't. She tore round the corner and ran down to the town hall. Thank goodness the coach was still there. All the other children were in it. Miss Williams was standing beside it, looking anxiously for Millie and Alice. Where's Alice? She said. Oh, she's messing about round the corner, said Millie unkindly. She just won't be quick. I did tell her we'd be late. I left her behind." "The naughty little girl," said Miss Williams, looking at her watch. "I'll wait one more minute, then we shall go." Alice helped the boy to his feet. He seemed a bit better. All his things were soon back in his basket. His bicycle could not be ridden. He would have to wheel it home. "You sit down on the wall over there for a few minutes before you wheel your bike home," said Alice. "Then you'll feel well enough. I'm sorry I can't stay to see you home. Very sorry. But you see, the coach won't stop longer than 10 minutes past 10. She ran off, and the boy looked after her, thinking what a kind little girl she was. It was nice to find someone kind when you were hurt and dizzy. Kindness was one of the best things in the world. Alice rushed round the corner and looked anxiously at the town hall, which you could see from there. There was no motor coach waiting for her. It had gone. Yes, there it was, climbing the hill beyond. It hadn't waited. Alice stood and looked after it. It hadn't waited. Just because she stopped to be kind, she had missed a lovely day by the sea. Millie, who hadn't been kind at all, had caught the coach. "But I couldn't help stopping to pick that boy up," said Alice. "I just couldn't. And now the coach has gone without me." Tears came to her eyes and trickled down her cheek. She had hurried so much. She had done all the shopping. She had plenty of time at the last, and yet she was left behind. She turned to go home. She had forgotten about the boy sitting on the wall. She walked past him, her tears blinding her. She gave a little sob. She was so dreadfully, dreadfully disappointed. The boy saw her in surprise. Hadn't she told him she was going to catch a motor coach? Surely it hadn't gone without her. "Hi," he called. "What's the matter? Come over here and tell me." So Alice told him, and then it was the boy's turn to comfort poor Alice. "What a shame," he said. "I stopped you from catching the coach. Oh, I do feel dreadful about it. Poor, poor Alice." "I can go home with you now and wheel your bicycle if you like," said Alice, wiping her eyes. "You look rather pale and you ought to have your head bathed. Come along." So she took the boy home, wheeling his bicycle for him. He lived in a lovely house about 3 streets away. His mother was in the garden and came running to meet him. "What have you done, Donald? Oh, your poor head. What has he done, little girl?" Alice told her. Then Donald told his mother how Alice had helped him. She was so grateful. "Come along in and have some lemonade," she said. "I'll just bathe Donald's head. I don't think it's really very bad." While his mother was bathing his head, Donald told her how poor Alice had missed the motor coach because she had stayed to help him. "So there will be no day by the sea for her," he said, "and all because of me." His mother looked thoughtful. Then she smiled. "Alice shan't miss a day by the sea," she said. "I will take her, and you two in the car. It would do you good to have a blow by the sea after this nasty little fall. We will go to your Auntie Lou's for the day and have a lovely time. Would you like that?" "Oh, yes," said Donald, cheering up at once. "Shall I go and tell Alice? Have you finished with my head? Oh, won't she be pleased?" Alice was. She could hardly believe her ears. After her big disappointment, it seemed too good to be true that she was going to have a day by the sea after all. She thanked Donald's mother shyly, and her eyes shone with joy. They soon set off in Donald's mother's little car. First they went round to Alice's mother and told her. She was very surprised, but pleased to know that Alice had been so kind. Then off they went. It was a fast little car, and Donald's mother drove well. Alice enjoyed it. She had never been in a car before, and it was lovely. "We're going so fast," she said. "Shall we pass the motor coach and the others are in?" Well, they had a good start to Donald's mother. We may get there about the same time. The funny thing was, they did. Just as the little car drew up on the seafront for the 2 children to look out at the calm blue sea, a big motor coach drew up too. And it was the one with all the school children in. "Look, there's Alice. Surely that's Alice," cried Millie in amazement. "Alice, Alice, how did you get here? We left you behind." She jumped down and ran to Alice. But Donald did not welcome her. "This is the other girl who saw me fall," he said to his mother, "but she didn't help. She just stood and said they will miss the coach and ran off without Alice, and she didn't even get the coach to wait." Millie went red. She knew she had been selfish and unkind. She went back to the others, still red. Now she wished she had been kind too. Here was Alice going to have a lovely day with Donald's kind mother and going back in a car. and Millie had thought her so silly to stay behind and help. Alice had a wonderful day. Donald's Auntie Lou was as kind as his mother, and they all four had a picnic on the beach and ice creams afterwards. They had ice creams again at tea time, and Donald and Alice had 3 rides each on a donkey and a lovely bathe. "Now we must go home," said Donald's mother, who had been watching Alice and thinking what a well-mannered, nice little girl she was. "Come along." "Oh, I wish the day wasn't over," said Alice with a sigh. "I've so loved it." "We'll have more days like this," said Donald's mother. "You must come to tea with Donald every week. You will be a nice friend for him, someone who is kind and unselfish. Donald is kind too, so you'll make a good pair." They do, and they are very happy playing together. "Your bit of kindness brought you a big reward," Alice's mother said. "It certainly did, but I think Alice deserved it. Don't you?"